Welcome back to Dark Confession. Some secrets should have stayed buried. In the autumn of 2025, a case began quietly in Manchester, England, that at first looked like nothing more than a routine missing persons report. A 29-year-old freelance journalist named Daniel Mercer had not been seen for 5 days. He was known among colleagues as persistent but cautious, someone who chased stories about financial fraud and online scams rather than violent crime. His disappearance did not immediately trigger national attention because he was not famous, not wealthy, and lived a relatively private life. But what made Daniel's case unusual was the last story he had been working on. He had recently told a friend that he had uncovered something too big to publish alone, involving an international network of crypto investment scams operating between the UK and the United States. According to his notes later recovered from his laptop, he had been tracking fake investment platforms that promised high returns through artificial intelligence trading systems. Victims were mostly middle-aged individuals in both the UK and US, many of whom had lost life savings. Security footage placed Daniel at a small cafe near Piccadilly Gardens on the evening before he vanished. He appeared to be meeting someone. Witnesses described him as calm but focused, repeatedly checking his phone. The person he met was never clearly identified in the footage, only described as wearing a dark hooded jacket and sitting across from him for just under 40 minutes. After that meeting, Daniel's phone went offline. At first, investigators considered the possibility that he had left voluntarily. He had no criminal record, no known enemies, and no history of mental health crises. But his apartment told a different story. His laptop was missing, his notebook had been partially torn from his desk, and his wallet was left behind on the kitchen counter. There were no signs of forced entry, which suggested he may have either known his visitor or been deceived into opening the door. As detectives began tracing his digital footprint, a pattern emerged. Daniel had been communicating with anonymous sources through encrypted messaging apps. One of these contacts, saved under the name Orion, had provided him with documents about cryptocurrency wallet transfers linked to shell companies registered in both Delaware and offshore jurisdictions. The money trail pointed to a coordinated fraud ring targeting victims through social media, ads, and fake financial influencers. Then came the disturbing connection. A similar investigation had been quietly underway in the United States in New Jersey, involving multiple reports of missing funds and at least 2 unexplained disappearances of individuals who had also been probing crypto scams. Both of those individuals had last been seen meeting unknown contacts after publishing partial findings online. Interpol was eventually brought in to compare the cases. That is when authorities realized that Daniel Mercer's disappearance might not be isolated. Instead, it appeared to be part of a pattern. Independent investigators getting too close to exposing a network that did not want to be exposed. Back in Manchester, forensic analysis of Daniel's recovered phone data revealed something even more unsettling. The last location ping before it went offline placed him not at his home but near the outskirts of Salford, in an industrial zone known for abandoned warehouses. A search of the area uncovered no immediate evidence, but cadaver dogs later alerted investigators to traces inside one of the unused storage units. By the time a warrant was issued, the unit had been completely cleared. There were no bodies recovered. As the investigation widened, attention shifted to Daniel's encrypted conversations. One message from Orion stood out, a warning disguised as advice. It read, "Some stories are not meant to be finished. Stop digging while you still can." Daniel's final reply, sent just hours before his disappearance, was simply, "Too late. I already have the proof." That proof was never found. Months passed, and the case slowly faded from headlines, but privately, investigators continued to follow financial transactions linked to the scam network. What they discovered was staggering. The operation had siphoned millions of pounds and dollars through a layered system of fake investment dashboards, fake customer support teams, and paid social media promotions. The individuals running it were never seen in person. Every layer of communication was digital, encrypted, and routed through multiple countries. Then a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A whistleblower inside a European crypto exchange came forward, revealing that certain accounts flagged for fraud were being manually unlocked after private requests from unknown administrators. One of those requests matched the timing of Daniel Mercer's disappearance. As pressure increased, a joint UK-US cybercrime task force began tracing not just the money, but the infrastructure behind it. They discovered that stolen funds were being laundered through online gaming economies, converted into digital assets, and then cycled back into legitimate-looking trading accounts. It was a system designed to erase itself with every transaction. Around the same time, one of Daniel's close friends received an anonymous encrypted drive in the mail with no return address. Inside were fragmented chat logs, partial identity records, and a single audio file of Daniel's voice saying, "If anything happens to me, don't stop looking." The message ended there, leaving investigators with more questions than answers and a growing suspicion that Daniel had not simply stumbled onto a scam ring, but something far more organized and protected than anyone initially believed. In the weeks that followed, a short-lived breakthrough appeared when a suspect digital wallet briefly surfaced during a blockchain audit. It contained a transfer trail that briefly linked accounts across 3 continents before being abruptly frozen and rerouted. Analysts later described it as intentional digital misdirection, suggesting someone inside the system was actively watching the investigation in real time and responding to it. Despite renewed pressure, no arrests were made. The case remained officially open but inactive. Authorities never confirmed whether Daniel Mercer was alive or dead, only stating that foul play is strongly suspected. To this day, his laptop has never been recovered, and the full contents of his final investigation remain unknown. Some believe he may have been lured under the promise of a final interview that turned dangerous. Others think he was deliberately silenced before he could publish names tied to the network. What is certain is that the scam operation he was tracking continued even after his disappearance, adapting, changing names, and resurfacing under new platforms. Digital footprints suggest it still operates in fragments across multiple countries, making it nearly impossible to dismantle completely. Daniel Mercer's story is now shared quietly among investigative journalists as a warning. Not every story ends with publication. Some end the moment they get too close to the truth. Thank you for joining me on Dark Confession. If you found this case informative, consider subscribing for more true crime stories, unsolved mysteries, and disturbing cases from around the world. Until next time, stay aware, stay curious, and remember,